Today's number is 33 million. That's the number of small businesses in the United States as of today. And as of yesterday morning, it's the number of small businesses that just got Claude packaged for the way they actually work. Hang on to that number for a moment. We'll get to it here momentarily. Well, it's Thursday. Happy Thursday. We're almost to the weekend. Yesterday on the show, we said 3 out of 4 executives admit, in their own words, that their AI strategy is, quote, more for show. Today, the actual product showed up at the front door of 33 million small businesses. And we'll get to that here in a little bit. And I can't wait to tell you more about it. I'm Don Michaela, and this is your morning intelligence for Thursday, May 14th, 2026. All right, for today's preview in the lead, Anthropic just packaged Claude for small businesses. 15 ready to run workflows right out of the box. A free 10-city training tour that kicks off in Chicago this morning. Closing arguments day in the Musk OpenAI trial. South Korea floated taxing AI profits and giving the money to citizens. And the chip stock's loss almost $300 billion in hours. And Cerebra opens for NASDAQ trading this morning as the largest US IPO of the year. In the deep cut, Google announced something on Monday that we didn't give enough time and attention to. Your Android phone is becoming an AI agent this summer. We unpack what that actually means. And we close with the guy who lost $400,000 of Bitcoin in college and got it back this week, all thanks to AI. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, in the lead, Anthropic launched Claude for small businesses yesterday morning. Per the Anthropic announcement, plus TechCrunch, Inc. Magazine, Axios, Fast Company, 9 to 5 Mac, and I believe SiliconANGLE as well, here's what they actually shipped. This is the first time a frontier AI lab packaged the product specifically for small businesses. Here are the numbers. 15 ready-to-run workflows, things like month-end close, payroll planning, marketing campaigns, chasing unpaid invoices, 15 reusable AI skills, and a list of integration that lands where small businesses actually live. Think QuickBooks, PayPal, HubSpot, Canva, DocuSign, Google Workspace, Microsoft 365. Anthropic didn't pick just consumer demos. They picked the apps a 5-person business already has open in 7 tabs every morning. There's no extra charge if you have a Claude subscription. This is on top of it for free. And here's the part that I think is genuinely actionable. Anthropic is running a free 10-city training tour, half-day workshops, 100 local small business leaders per stop. The first one kicks off this morning in Chicago. Other cities include Tulsa, Dallas, a couple cities in Jersey. We got Baton Rouge, Birmingham, Salt Lake City, Baltimore, San Jose, and Indianapolis. And some quick housekeeping on the company. Anthropic is reportedly closing a roughly $900 billion funding round any day now. All that is in Bloomberg. I'm not going to dwell on it because this is not what we're focusing on, but it is interesting that they are getting ready to raise $900 billion and they're launching a free product for small businesses across the country. I think that's really cool. But honestly, why does this story matter? Well, for weeks, we've been covering AI showing up in trillion-dollar enterprises, in federal courtrooms, in Microsoft Office, in Wall Street earnings calls. Today, it showed up at the front door of the 33 million businesses in this country that do not have an enterprise AI strategy because, quite frankly, they're too small to really need one. A lot of folks listening to this show either run one of these small businesses, consult with them, or sell into one. If you fit that profile, if you're the operator, a founder, a bookkeeper, the person trying to get payroll out the door on the second of every month, well, try it out today. Claude.ai. Look at Claude for small business. The workshops are free. The product is included in what you already pay for. And if you happen to be in Chicago this morning, maybe you can stop by and get some free training. The bottom line here, yesterday the data said 3 out of 4 executives think their AI strategy is more for show. Today, the smallest businesses in the country got the version of the product that is not for show. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's rundown. Our first story in the rundown, we got closing arguments in the Musk versus OpenAI trial. That happens this morning with Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers in the courtroom in Oakland. Witness testimony wrapped up on Tuesday. Sam Altman finished 4 hours on the sand. Satya Nadella was just before him, Greg Brockman before him, and Elon Musk before him. Two claims remain live here: unjust enrichment and breach of charitable trust. The advisory jury gets in on the case. The judge makes the final call, and a verdict is possible as early as next week. So, what? Well, you should be tracking the schedule, not necessarily the testimony here. The closing arguments today set up a verdict that could land at any time next week. In that ruling, if it goes in Elon Musk's way, could force OpenAI to unwind its for profits conversion, which changes who controls ChatGPT, how it's priced, and what the free tier actually looks like. So I recommend setting a calendar reminder for maybe next Friday. That's when this will probably become news again. All right, our second story in the rundown. A senior policy official in Seoul, Korea opened his mouth on Monday, and roughly $300 billion dollars of value left the AI chip market within hours. This comes per Bloomberg, the Japan Times, Tom's Hardware, and Yahoo Finance. South Korea's presidential policy chief proposed that profits and tax revenue from the country's semiconductor sector be, quote, structurally returned to all citizens as a dividend, startup grants for young people, basic income for rural communities, stronger pensions. The KOSPI dropped 5.1% intraday after he mentioned that. Samsung and SK Hynix led the losses. The shockwave hit US markets too. Intel down nearly 7%, Micron down nearly 4%, CoreWeave down 6%. South Korea's president walked it back yesterday and walked it back rather quickly. Said it referred to redistributing existing tax revenue, not a new corporate levy. Markets clawed back some of those losses, but the idea is now in the political vocabulary. So here's a question. If South Korea is asking who benefits from the AI boom and the question alone moved $300 billion in the afternoon, what happens when the same question gets asked in Washington or Brussels or London or maybe even your state house? Check your 401k allocation this week. If you're heavy in tech, well, this is a preview. All right, our third story in the rundown. The AI chip company you have never heard of opens on the public market this morning at $56.4 billion in valuation. Again, this is per Bloomberg. We got this in CNBC, Globe Newswire, and Yahoo Finance also had this. Cerebra Systems priced its IPO last night at $185 a share, above the marketed range. The raise, $5.5 billion, the largest U.S. IPO of the year so far. The fully diluted valuation, $56.4 billion, more than double the $23 billion estimate from a week ago. That's crazy. The revenue story is rather straightforward as well. $510 million in 2025, up 76%. Net income of nearly $240 million. Now, here's the line you should hold on to. Nearly 90% of Cerebrus' revenue comes from just two customers, OpenAI and AWS. Two customers, 90% of the revenue. That is not diversification at all. That's simply just a relationship. If anyone at work pitches you on buying CBRS today, and I'm sure someone will, or someone will at least bring it up to you, that's the one stat to come away with. Two customers, 90% of the revenue. All right, if you're enjoying Morning Intelligence, do me a quick favor today. Send this episode to one person. The one person in your life who keeps texting you, hey, what's going on in the world of AI? You know who they are. If you share this episode with them, they get more informed and you help the show grow. And I'd appreciate it on both fronts. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into today's deep cut. On Monday, Google held the Android show. We covered the laptops and actually made a joke about the glow bar. We did not give the actual headline at the time it deserved. I will be upfront about that. So I'm going to fix that real quick. Google announced Gemini Intelligence, and that's a rebrand. But the rebrand's not the story here. The story is what the rebrand actually does to the phone in your pocket, per Google's own blog, CNBC, TechCrunch, Tom's Guide, and Android Authority. Today, when you ask Gemini for help, you open the app. You type, you wait, it answers, and then you go back to whatever app you were already in. Well, starting this summer on Pixel 10 and Galaxy S26 first, and expanding from there, that flow actually inverts. Gemini will run underneath everything. It will see what's on your screen. It will move across apps without you opening them. And it will take multi-step actions on your behalf. A few specifics so this lands. There's a feature called Rambler. You talk into your phone the way you talk to a friend. Half formed, run on, three different thoughts going on at the same time. and Rambler turns it into a clean text message, polished, punctuated, and sent. There's a feature called Create My Widget. You describe what you want, give me a widget that shows my next meeting and the weather, and Gemini will build it. Native to Android, live on your home screen, no app store whatsoever, no download needed. And Gemini in Chrome will now run research for you. I think this is actually really cool. It'll open up tabs, read, summarize, pull what matters all into one space. Plus, obviously, the Google Books we covered on Monday, the laptops that are built from the ground up using this same technology. I believe we have Acer, Asus, Dell, HP, Lenovo all on board, and I believe they start shipping this fall. So, why is this worth your time? Well, the reason the story is bigger than yesterday's joke about the glow bar is because for 15 years, the phone in your pocket has been a tool you operate. You tap, you type, you launch apps, you navigate, hold it up to your ear, you talk to people on the phone. Well, starting this summer, it becomes a layer that operates around you. That's the same shift Apple is racing to ship at WWDC in 3 weeks. Whichever one of them gets to it first owns the next 15 years of how a billion people get to work and how they get it done on their phone. So here's a practical nudge. Open your phone. Look at the last hour what you actually did on it. Maybe you pulled an address out of an email, texted your spouse, opened maps, estimated how long it would take you to get somewhere, sent your boss a message saying you'd be 5 minutes late, whatever it may be. 4 different apps, 4 steps, 5 minutes of friction. That entire flow is what Gemini Intelligence proposes to do for you in one sentence this summer. Remove all that friction and make sure you don't have to go through it ever again. So start noticing those flows. Those are the ones that are probably going to disappear first. The takeaway here on Monday, admittedly, I made fun of the light strip. The light strip isn't the story. The story is the layer behind it. And that layer ships in less than 60 days. All right, some fun stuff here before we close out. A guy got drunk in college in 2015. That's not the story. But he did change his Bitcoin password while he was drunk. Forgot it in the morning and, well, forgot it for the next 11 years. The wallet for his Bitcoin had 5 Bitcoins in it. At today's prices, that roughly estimates about $400,000. He did what most of us would do. He grieved. He moved on. He forgot his password and he didn't know what to do. Until last week. He pulled the contents of his old college laptop, the files, notebooks, and backups, and uploaded the entire mess to an AI tool. The AI did not brute force the password, but what it did was read this actual digital archive, find an older wallet file from before he changed the password, identify why the recovery phrase no longer worked, find the bug in the open source recovery tool that actually recovers the community that he had missed, correct the decryption logic, and extract his private keys. The tool, in case you're curious, was Claude. 5 Bitcoin recovered per Bitcoin.com, Decrypt, FX Street, and Crypto Times. The crypto angle is not the part that I want to focus on here. The part is that if you have a folder on your hard drive somewhere labeled miscellaneous, AI can now read it better than you probably ever can, and it can find those files you thought were lost forever. All right, for tomorrow, we have Friday stories. The verdict in the Musk versus OpenAI trial could land at any time next week. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of things leading up to that for tomorrow. So we'll make sure to cover it as well. Cerebra will finish a first day of trading. So I'm sure I'll cover that in Friday's episode if something substantial happens there. And Google I/O kicks off next Tuesday with what is expected to be Gemini 4. And if there's any stories leading up to that, any teasers, any breaking news there, I'll make sure to cover it tomorrow. And that's your morning intelligence for Thursday, May 14th, 2026. If you like what you heard, hit subscribe from wherever you're listening. Send it to that one friend who keeps asking you, hey, what's going on in the world of AI? You know who they are. I'm Don Michalik. Thank you so much for listening and have a great rest of your Thursday.